got a little Ryan Woods story to add to yours, Eddie.
Here we go.
What do
Mr.
Ryan
Woods
Woods
as
and
well.
I have in common?
Go on.
God, where do we start?
Well, when I asked my English teacher about this, I showed her a picture of me and Ryan Woods together, and she said, okay, both wearing a Hull City jacket in this picture, the ginger hair, and I'll quote her here, good set of gnashers on both of them. What I wanted from her when I was explaining this was for her to pick out that there's more than just, one similarity between us and there are other differences. Long story short, outside the ground at some point last season, I was mistaken for Ryan Woods.
Oh, wow. I know he's small and ginger, but like you said, there's more key differentiators than that. You're pretty tall now, though, aren't you?
I'm 6 foot tall.
Oh.
He's a good 4 inches shorter than me.
Nah, that's a violation, Joe.
What a treat.
Well, it was like these two kids came up to me, bless them, and there was this one lass who was like, "Oh God, get him to sign this," and then a mate was just sort of like, "I'm not sure," and a few awkward looks later, after I was saying, "Are you sure you want me to sign this shirt?" They thought I was Ryan Woods.
Well, they could have been asking for your signature, Joe.
Well, I signed this one thing, and the lad was looking at it sort of like, I don't recognise that autograph. It doesn't look like a City player's autograph. He doesn't look like a footballer.
You to be fair, Joe, you were stood there on Wednesday night. Actually, you were stood with what's he called, the Hull boy. When that little lad asked for my autograph with my DJ and stuff. That was my first ever autograph I ever had to do ever.
Oh.
And I got asked outside the West Ham reception. I was buzzing. So
it would have been me on Wednesday night. I wasn't there, but you're right. I am out there.
Might have been Ryan Woods.
It could have been Ryan Woods. To be fair, he could have been watching.
But no, I am typically there early. Yeah, stood with Marcus and all the other lads.
That's it. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So Eddie's not actually seen your team yet. Obviously, I've done all the visuals on it, the backgrounds and stuff like that for us to run through. The cool thing about this then is Eddie's going to see this for the first time right now, and there is, in my opinion, a couple of standouts where we just have to say, tell me more, please. Okay. Tell me, make it make sense, please.
I will make it make sense. Don't you worry.
So here we go. I'm going to jump straight into this now. So number one, we're going to jump straight in with your goalkeeper. Now, I've set this up in the background. I'm 99% certain all of this fits on the screen properly. And if it doesn't, I think I'm just going to click on end stream. All right.
We'll come back to it later.
Yeah, we'll just do it. We'll just come back. The pilot didn't work too well. So here we go.
Now,
we're in.
When you mention players who have played for both Hull City and Plymouth, Callum Burton is another one.
Oh.
Ziggy Stardust didn't throw that one in his list, did he?
Also, you could have had Warren Joyce and David Stockdale.
David Stockdale, what a player.
He's been on loan more or less everywhere.
More loans than Wonga, that guy, hasn't
he? This one makes sense when I tell you why. So, back in the good old days when we used to get let into the training ground, me as a 12, 13-year-old lad went down and Callum Burton, bless him, gave me his gloves. So that's why he's in there.
What a player.
That's why he's in there. I was always really fond of Alan McGregor. I think Tim as a guy, he's brilliant. I really like Matt Ingram. He's a sound bloke. But Callum Burton, that little gloves gesture, that gets him in there for me.
Definitely.
Good.
I like that. And respect it.
That's exactly what this is about. This Mai's Eye. This is exactly what it's about, because we don't want to just see, he made that absolutely outstanding save once. We don't want to see that. He's arguably the best goalkeeper we've ever had. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear them little moments like that, because unconsciously, anybody who's watching this is going to be picking those points up and just seeing about some of the players that we've had and some of the stuff that players actually do for us as the fans. I mean, granted, you've got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go stand outside the training ground and hope to not be mistaken for Ryan Woods. But sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it pays off. And this is what we're here for. Okay, so next one here. Right back.
Again, even more obscure, this one.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you how long I spent looking for a picture of him. But here he is.
Oh my God, proper blast from the past. Wow.
Let me guess, you went
Claxton.
did you go to
This
school
one,
with him, Eddie? Or...
No, I did not. No, I didn't.
this one dates back to what I think was my 13th birthday. It might have been 12th or 13th birthday. I'm not sure which one it was, but I was a mascot. We played Reading, and we were let in the dressing room before at the end of our tour of the ground. And this is just as the players arriving. Nigel Adkins comes in, says hello to everyone, has a really nice chat with all the mascots. Michael Dawson the same, Fraser Campbell the same, and then just sort of sat on his own in the corner was Josh Claxton. And me being the little city nerd that I was and still am at this time.
Hi, Josh.
I just went and sat down next to him because I knew he'd come through and sign for us all at some point. So I thought, he's sat in there. I know who he is. I just went and sat down and he signed for me and was a really sound lad. So he just sort of sat on his own in a corner, and then because I was the only one there who knew who he was, I just went and spoke to him, and yeah, it was really, really nice.
Do you know what? You look a bit like Josh Claxton.
I look more like Josh Claxton or Ryan Woods, mate.
Grow your hair out a little bit more, and I'd go with Ryan Woods. But for now, it's Josh. I think Josh takes.
Another thing about Woods, he's like 10 years older than me, more. So that's a bit disheartening to be mistaken for him, isn't
it? At least you won't get ID in a shop. That's a good thing.
Well, yeah.
You went down the red light district when you got mistaken for him, was you? No,
I've never been to Holland.
Eddie bumped into old Grandpa Joe and he just scarpered. That's what it was. Right then, moving on to centre backs. Love this guy. Love this guy. Love this guy. Love this guy.
Michael Dawson. Yeah. Great guy. Another sort of mascot story. He was really nice. He went and spoke to everyone, took time to talk to each family and things like that. And then at a recent event he did with Andy, where like a members evening thing, he was absolutely brilliant. I said to him, Michael, I showed him a picture of my day as a mascot and said, Michael, this was the last time I met you. And he was talking to me about that season and players we brought in and Nigel Adkins and all that sort of thing. Happily answered my question about his tackle on Fernando Forestieri in the playoff final. And he said it was quite the heart in mouth moment for him as well, as much as it was for us, but it was all right in the end. And yeah, he got a lot of stick for how he left, sure, but in my experience with him, he's been all right.
He's always come across as a nice guy.
He was a good guy. And I bet he's got tons of stories that he just keeps to himself as well.
I bet he does. Playing for England, he must do. He did admit that his worst manager in his professional career was Juan de Ramos. He happily admitted that. He wouldn't touch the best question, but when Alex Burgess asked him, who's your worst one, he jumped straight for that microphone and said Juan de Ramos.
Give it here, I've got the answer for this. I know we know that works, don't we? We know that works. Right then, next one. I think I've got a feeling as to why this guy's in here. He's in the current squad at the moment. Again, love this guy. Love this guy.
My mate, what a guy. I've known Greavesy for 5 or 6 years.
If I get this every episode, I'm going to stop doing it, honestly. Oh, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Matt's going to get another name drop with me. I used to sit next to him in geography at school, so...
Oh, did you?
So I need to be careful of all these name drops, don't I?
Why didn't any of these players grow up on Brandsome? Why didn't they go? I went to the school next to Liam Cooper. He doesn't know me. He's not from Scotland. He grew up in Hull. Not far from. Go on. Anyway, sorry, Greaves. Geography pen pal.
About 5 or 6 years, and that all stems from a small little interviewing podcast venture I did a few years ago, which COVID brought an end to. But to get it off the ground, me and my mate sent messages to loads of City players, and we got 3 or 4 back. One was from a now released academy player called Jay Rouse, who never went pro, sadly for him. Ahmed Salam was another one. Keane Lewis Potter was another one.
Yeah.
But out of the 4, the only one that pulled through was Jacob Greaves. And he came in, chatted to us. This is the summer where he's signed his first professional contract. He's about to go out on loan to Cheltenham. And since then, he and I have kept in contact. And he's great. He owes me a shirt, though, and he knows he owes me a shirt.
Do you know what? I'll give you that. He's a proper nice lad, and obviously, like you say, he always sticks by his word and that. And I do have a lot of time for Greasy. To be fair, obviously going to school with him and that. Well, my claim to fame, he'll never admit it, but the last game of football that you always have the day you leave after your GCSEs, you have that one massive game of football, and I made sure I got that final tackle in on him. He'll never admit it, but that's one thing that'll stay with me. Was
it an attempted career ender, or was
No,
it?
It actually wasn't. It was a nice little. It was like Harry Maguire against QPR when he took when you see the 2 players go flat. It was one of them ones.
Wow,
ball and all tackle.
A lot of Harry Maguire resemblances coming on.
I know. DJ, that's the real question.
Yeah, I bet he's better than you as well.
Yeah, I think he could be.
Joe, do you get in early enough to listen to Eddie's set?
I did not, unfortunately. I was busy typing up junior committee meeting things to put on Twitter. Where, can I say, Eddie, the club were incredibly complimentary of you.
Really? I did say it earlier, didn't I? I said Joe's tagged me in a tweet, and my phone's going absolutely mental. I would love to know what they were saying, but we'll save that for
the point on the agenda we got was, we love the DJ. Someone sent that in, and the club and all of the club head of operations was there, facilities manager, fan engagement manager, head of marketing, ticketing, safeguarding, the lot.
Legends.
They all were incredibly complimentary of you, mate. I couldn't speak highly enough of you.
Wow. Well, do you know what? Like, this is the thing. Like, you'll see, like, through my tweets and things like that, the amount of love and affection that I have for the club, like, it's just been one mad whirlwind of love and everything, and just that, even it's just like the little things, even with like having my own branding up in the stadium, that just it stays up all the time as well, which is just amazing. Like, they're just class, and like, big thank you to whoever put me on the meetings agenda. That was very kind of you. Thank you. So,
pay rise, I think I was talking about. Pay rise. So I put it on there. This guy needs a pay rise. Right, let's move. We've got Jacob Greaves, all round nice guy, best friends with Joe, best friends with Eddie. Don't have a clue who I am. Left back.
He'll get to know. This one is a little bit less lovey-dovey like that. This one is for motorway driving.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
So, this is nothing to do with Max Clark as a footballer for his time at City or whatever. This is coming back from Middlesbrough. Pardon?
Can I guess?
Have a guess.
Was you a 13, 14-year-old boy in the back of the car on the way back, and you've done that next to him?
No.
And he's bibbed his on?
No. This one is a unique story because it was coming back from Middlesbrough away, where Keane Lewis Potter scored that winner at the end of the 2021-22 season. I think Max Clark was playing for Rochdale at this time. Must have been coming back to Hull, because his motorway driving seemed to really wind my dad up. My dad gets so annoyed at people on motorways who pull past you, accelerate, pull back in, and then drop right back and slow right down.
I know what's happening. Your dad's a middle lane driver. It's a game people play.
Was my dad in the middle lane? Yes, I think my dad was in the middle lane.
Your dad's a middle lane driver, mate. This is the game that everybody plays. It's called orbiting. So if someone stays in the middle lane, you overtake them, go back into left-hand lane, then you slow down, wait for him to overtake, and you essentially just orbit the car that's in the middle lane. That is exactly what's happening there, mate.
Pulled back in front of us into the middle and slowed down.
Ah.
So my dad, like going at 70, thought, "What's this idiot doing?" Pulled out into the right hand lane, left hand lane, whatever, and overtook him. And then me sat in the back of the car. I have a glance. That's Max Clark there. Oh, Dad, that's Max Clark there. He played no games when we won League One. Yeah, he's driving like a kid. So that's what that story. That's why Max Clark's in there.
That's going to be a short and get sent to him 100%. He's a dickhead.
That's a real nerd.
100%. All lads in Hull City shirts. His pictures next to him. Max Clark, yeah, dickhead. Right, moving on. This next guy, is he a dickhead or?
Depends which one you choose. Jake Livermore. This one.
Wouldn't call him a dickhead while I was looking like that.
Yeah, definitely not. This is for him as a player.
Yeah.
I just thought he was brilliant. Simply brilliant. Both me and my dad thought he was absolutely ace. I was gutted when he left. And, well, the other day, two of the lads who go early went to watch Leeds versus Watford, and they were in the hotel, and Jake remembered one of them and treated him to dinner.
Oh, really?
So that's a little nugget I can add in now. But he's purely in here because I absolutely adored him as a player. Absolute workhorse. Brilliant.
Do you know what I didn't like as a fan base? We was a bit harsh on the fact that, you know, he went through the scandal, didn't he, with the sniffing thing. And instead of, as a group of people who've supported him all this time, instead of supporting him, the reasons why he did it, we made a chant about it. Kind of laughing about it, and I couldn't get my head around it. Honestly, couldn't get around it. And I love the guy, and I don't know if that maybe fed into the reason why he left us, but yeah, big fan of the guy for the same reason as you. He came in at the same time as Tommy, and they were both brilliant.
He's genuinely nice guy as well. I can remember he was having dinner with Steve Harper. That's another name from Blast from the Past. My mum, I think she was 40. I think she was having a meal basically in. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was Medici in Ferriby. Well, it was Medici anyway, and then it shut down. And they were all taking photos and stuff. And someone who was with her was like, "Oh, can you stop taking photos with like they're having a meeting and things like that?" And then my mum, obviously, she had a few sherbets, and she went, "It's my birthday this Saturday. I'm not going to stop." And then turns out they had 2 bottles of champagne sent over, and it turns out Jake Livermore found out it was Mum's birthday, and he said, "Happy birthday! I hope you have a nice night," and give him 2 bottles of champagne. So, wow. Nice bloke.
All round nice guy.
Wow,
nice guy. Although I don't think he's as nice as this next guy. This guy is arguably in my top 3 for just people I love who play football.
If this is the guy I think you're talking about, he's in my top 1.
David Myler. Absolutely love the guy.
He is my absolute just dream to interview.
I agree. I'd love to.
I was me and a few mates went to the book signing thing he did. The book's in that cupboard somewhere. And I was just sat in that. I was sat right at the front, just absolutely in awe of him for that entire 2 or 3 hours that we were there. And he was just absolutely brilliant. I love him as a player because he wasn't your sort of flashy player. I know.
I can't believe it.
My granddad used to take the mick out of me for liking David Myler, and I very regularly put him in his place and told him he's incredible.
Big fan.
And I know that history is on my side. Sorry, Grandad. But yeah, ace. Words simply don't do it justice.
Big fan of the guy. Big fan of the guy. For anybody who's just jumped in now, there's not long left. We're about to go through the final 4 players, I believe,
four.
for Joe's Maizai being short for My 11. So far, what we've got, you have to tune in to try and give the read to understand the reasons for this. But we had in goal, we had Callum Burton, right back Josh Claxton, centre back of Michael Dawson, centre back of Jacob Greaves, left back of Max Clark because he's a dickhead, Jake
My
Livermore,
dad thought he was a dickhead.
David Myler, and then the next guy. Bearing in mind here, boys, I want to point this out because much like Eddie, he had Curtis Davies at left back, and it threw me, and I didn't understand it. This next one's going to throw you all as well, because never, ever, ever did I think I'd see this guy put in a centre mid position, but here he is.
Yeah, here he is.
Harry.
Here he is.
He fills out the middle three for Grandpa Joe. I did ask him in the build-up to this, and he's given me his reason, but I'll let you guys hear it.
I couldn't not put Harry in here. And next time I see him, I'm going to tell him this, because he is just the sweetest guy ever. He is absolutely incredible. And
I have to agree with you. There,
and
Joe.
I'd like to think, and I hope Harry would agree here, me and him get on very, very well. It started at Ferriby, I think.
Like it's some sort of love rom-com.
I know.
It all started back in Ferriby when
this story begins. I think his first under-21s home game after signing permanently, and his trial period ending. I met him, thought nothing of it before the game. Thought, oh, he seems pretty all right. But then after the game, he'd had a bit of a tough game. He played well, but he missed a load of chances, and he came off and he looked really down and stuff like that. From outside the dressing room at Ferriby, you could hear him shouting to Jim Sims, "No, Jim, I'm not going in the effing bar," all that kind of thing. And when he came out, I just sort of said to him, "Look, chin up, mate. These things happen, and you didn't play badly at all." And he he appreciated that. Open training session a few weeks later, and there he's just sort of sat on his own during the signing session. And I'll never forget this. He's just sort of sat on his own, quite glum, head down, because no one really knows who he is. And he sees I'm next in the queue, and his face lights up with a smile. So we'll have that.
There you go. You take that. You take it.
All 6'3" of Joe looks down on Harry, taps him on the head. You did all right, son. You did all right. Don't you worry. You did well, mate.
And then from there, me and Harry, we just get on really well. I was buzzing for him when he made his debut, and he's just such a nice guy. And every success he goes on to have at Hull City, because I'm confident there will be many, he deserves everything he gets.
You know, he comes across, you don't see this often with players. You know, some of them, whilst they probably are, the perception they give off is different. But this guy doesn't do that. He looks like he just loves playing football. You know, he looks like he's living his dream.
On the ground. His feet are so firmly on the ground, and you can see with some players who play academy football, they think they are so much bigger than they are. But Harry, he broke into the first team last season, and that hasn't changed him at all.
No.
That hasn't changed him. And he, like I say, he's just the absolute sweetest guy you'll ever meet.
Oh,
proper nice lad.
Look at you two. Right.
Honestly, Harry, if you're watching, I love you, mate.
Let's move on to the last few then. Here we go. So, believe you put in this guy right wing. Mr.
Yes, I am. This
Snodgrass.
is a weird story, but there's always a stage in primary school, and it's in the curriculum, that you have to do some form of swimming lesson.
What? Where is this going?
Trust me, it makes sense. So, Robert Snodgrass, this is during the time he was injured. We'd been
the same swimming lesson classes.
We'd been to Halton Price, and spent the afternoon there, all dried, all ready to get back on the bus to go back to school. Robert Snodgrass comes in and he's injured at this point after the QPR injury on the opening day, and it was such a surprise to see him there. I was wearing a Hull City jacket, and he just came up to us. I had my arm out for a high five, cheeky 8-year-old me. Came up to us, patted us on the shoulder, gave us a high five, said hello, and that's all. As a young fan, that's all you want.
You remember these things, yeah. I agree. I think the first ever, you remember those moments, don't you? And it just fills you with joy when you look back at it, and that's probably one of them. And it's, you know what, the context isn't even the same here. But my first away game was Colchester away. This is going back some time, and they went round at half time saying we're looking for people to take penalties at half time, and I got selected to go on the pitch and take a penalty at half time. Anyway, young, no injury problems, bagged it, no issues. Then ran across to the Colchester fans like that. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, that's where shithousery started. So yeah, that started with me. And moving on. Right then, left mid. This guy came in at a time when we'd just been relegated, and Nigel Pearson brought in a handful of Man United players, and this guy was one of them. And I loved this guy.
Was. The reason Robbie Brady is in here is because he scored the first ever goal I saw Hull City score live.
Which game?
My very first game, Middlesbrough at home, in our promotion season under Steve Bruce. His first season, Robbie Brady, I think it's about 75th minute, cagey game, pulls a free kick out of nowhere from edge of the D past the keeper. And he was essentially like my first favourite player because he scored that. He was the first player I got on the back of a shirt. And yeah, it's like you say, it's little things like that. And him scoring that goal, had we not won, so many things might not have happened. I might not have gone away from there thinking, oh, that was really good. Can we get a season ticket, Dad? That sort of thing.
Could have been a Middlesbrough
fan. But Robbie Brady scoring that goal, it was the catalyst for so many great things that have happened in my life. And for that, he's got to be in there.
No, I love that. He brought so many happy memories, to many of us, because it felt like doom and gloom when we went down, and when we brought in those players, we went for the period of Nigel Pearson, whatever happened there. Then Nick Barmby came in and took over, whatever happened there, and we still managed to keep those players during that rough transition time and go back up with them, which was, just a joy, wasn't it? It's just a joy. Now, leading your attack earlier.
Before we get into that, can I just do a few honourable mentions?
Go on.
So,
hold on. Absolutely no chance. They're not in your 11. Their name aren't said. This isn't your top 17, 18 players, Joe. This is your top 11.
Can I not give you two? Because they're great stories.
Go on then.
All right. Sam Clucas, 1, ginger hair. 2, met his mum in East Mids Airport coming home from Lanzarote one year. And she picked out the Hull City shirt. Love that. Second honourable mention, Dean Windass, sat next to his nephew in geography for 3 years, and he gave me a lift home from the barbers once.
Class.
I mean, I don't bump into these people.
Mate, you need to come and live at our neck of the woods, and you might.
Yeah, I've also been in a sauna with Dean Windass, so we'll say that as well.
We're back to the watershed, so you can share that story if you want. Oh, okay, sorry. Sometimes there should be a filter. Right. Here we go. Right. Striker. We had this earlier. I said to Eddie, this is the guy who has to score all of your goals. This is your main man.
Oh, yes.
And I don't think you got that brief because you've gone with Tommy.
Here he is. Here
Respect
he is.
it. Respect it.
Here he is.
The only guy who's called the goat because he looks like one. Sorry, Tom, if you're listening. Sorry, mate.
Fun fact, I was actually going to go with this myself, only because of the club that I worked for last season doing social media. That was the only reason why because I had quite a few good interactions with him. But
apparently now I'm the weirdo. I'm in the wrong.
Yeah, man. Tom Eaves.
Let me guess, you washed his car.
No, I didn't wash his car. I wish. No, just a really nice bloke.
It comes across that way. It's all tongue in cheek from me.
Genuinely, really nice bloke. This is the sort of day and age where there aren't many fans who go early to games, and there were like two of us, and we could stand and have a joke with Tom Eaves for 5 minutes before he went inside. So someone had tweeted a picture of him where they'd put his face on Jesus. So we showed him that picture, and all that kind of thing. Someone edited his face onto a goat, and we showed him that, and we had a laugh about it. And we got on. Eavesy was really good to all of us fans, and that last game that he played for us at home against Nottingham Forest, essentially. After that game, waiting for him afterwards, the only sort of thing I could have been doing more to beg him to stay was get on my knees and start praying. But yeah, love the guy, honestly. I'm gutted that Rotherham last year and this year hasn't fallen for me in that I can go early and say hello to him again, which is a real shame for us. But that time will come. And yeah, he's just an all-round absolute legend.
No, and kudos to yourself for picking the guy out, because many people could, when it comes to picking the striker out, you can easily get lost for different reasons. So the memories of the goals they've scored, the feelings they've given you when they've scored certain winners, etc. The memories you could have created with loved ones who are maybe not with us anymore when somebody scored a certain goal. There's tons of different reasons why you could go with different strikers. So to go with that man and stick with it, kudos to you. I hope you appreciate I've done you a solid here as well, because behind us three is Ozan Tufan, the picture you've asked me to use, and Ozan Tufan does not make it into your squad, which in the realms of everything confused the hell out of me. But yeah.
Well, that's just simply the only picture of me where I'm not holding a camera like this, or there's one of my mates in the photo with me. So I'm not sure quite how they'd feel about being put on there. So I thought we'll err on the side of caution.
Fair enough. But that does now bring everything to a close.